Okay, hello. Can you all let me know if you can hear me? I'm super excited to be here. Happy New Year, everyone. I love everyone is introducing themselves. Got people from Winnipeg and San Fran and DC and Columbia. Amazing. Hello, Alicia. Seattle, Toronto, Panama. I saw some people earlier who were coming in from South Africa, it looked like, which is amazing. I always love to play the how many continents do we have? So hello, everybody. My name is Autumn Bernier. I'm the founder and CEO of Skill Crush. I'm super excited to be here with you to get to celebrate this new year, 2023, and to talk to you about starting fresh without starting over, 5 key strategies to make a career change on your terms. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Oh, I see someone from Ireland. I read Iceland. I was like, I'm from Iceland, but I'm calling in from New York, New York. But okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because there's a ton for us to cover. I'm just going to give you all a warning that I'm going to try something new in this webinar today, and it's going to be more audience participation than normal. So I would like to invite you to participate and yeah, just get ready for that. So without further ado, let's get going. Okay, so just in case you're not super familiar with Skill Crush, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page and know who it is that you're listening to and what it is that we do at Skill Crush. So Skill Crush is an online tech education company for career changers. So we've been around for 10 years, and what we've been doing for all 10 years is working with amazing, smart students from all over the world and helping them transition from 100, every walk of life that you can imagine into a new career in tech. So we train our students for new jobs in tech, and then we actually help them through the process of getting hired. So we'll start by helping you learn all the skills that you need to learn, and then we will actually, once you have graduated from the skill building portion of our program, you will transition to the get hired portion of our program, where we work really intensively with our students to actually help them land jobs. And I'm literally just coming off of the high of we had a student get a job this morning. So that was really, really exciting. We celebrate every single one of those. So we have outcome stats that we're really proud of. So over 95% of our students get job offers within 6 months. The average salary of their new job is $70,000. I apologize. The laundry is all of a sudden, of course, making a ton of noise. So if you can hear it, my apologies. And then the average salary increase for our students is $30,000. So I want you to really think about that. So what we're seeing with our students is on average, they are making $30,000 more in their new job. So that's really, a big one for us, because we are always trying to make sure that, the return on the investment that you make with Skill Crush is quite large. And $30,000 is quite a bit more than what we charge for our program. So we're really happy to see that. And then the average time to get a job is actually only 10 weeks. Of course, it does vary by student, but that means that there are students who get jobs faster than that. And then on average, it's 10 weeks, which is about 2.5 months. So we're really proud of those statistics. What we're going to be talking about today, we're going to talk about what it means to start fresh in your career and why it really doesn't mean starting over. One of the biggest concerns that we hear from potential students is that they are worried that they're going to have to start from square one. And understandably, from anyone who's been in a career for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, the idea of starting over can be really overwhelming and a little bit demoralizing. And my hope is that you walk away from this webinar really believing that, which I know to be true, which is that nobody who comes and works with Skill Crush is truly starting over. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what the tech job outlook looks like in 2023. I know that there's a lot of seemingly bad news in terms of what we're hearing around tech layoffs and that kind of thing. But I will be here to reassure you that the sort of hard data and the sort of people who are really on the ground analyzing it are saying that actually what is being sort of the headlines that are going around in terms of tech job layoffs and stuff are not they're not representative of what's really happening in the job market around tech. And so I'll share some of that information with you. Let me just double check. I'm seeing a lot of, okay, good. I saw a lot of chatter and I just want to make sure it wasn't like, we can't hear you or anything like that. And then we're going to talk about what jobs are the best tech jobs for career changers and what skills you need to learn in order to be technically qualified to get those jobs. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how our program works and in hopes of giving you sort of a realistic understanding of, the time commitment, sort of, the undertaking that you are going to be taking on when you decide to invest and enroll with SkillCrush and pursue a career change. Sorry, that was that last bullet point. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking soon, I swear. I'm going to stop talking at such a pace. So who this webinar is for. So this webinar is for anyone who's thinking about making a career change into tech. It's for anyone who's actively pursuing a new full-time job in tech. So maybe you're already learning, you're already on the path towards making that change. It's for anyone who's worried that they may be too old, not qualified, in the wrong location, et cetera, for landing a job in tech. And it's also for current SkillCrush students who are excited for what 2023 can bring. And this is going to be a highly participative, despite the fact that I have just spoken for like 5 minutes straight. This is going to be a very, very high audience participation webinar. So I keep warning you about that. You're all going to be asked to participate. Okay, so I'm going to ease you into it. And to begin, what I would like to hear from you all is, where are you in the job changing process? And I'm going to give you a couple of animals so you can put, I also would love for you just to tell me where you are, but I thought I would make it fun by having these little emojis that we can use. So the question is, are you a panda? So a panda is researching options, contemplating a career change. Or are you a lion, actively pursuing a career change, so learning new skills, networking, et cetera? Or are you a unicorn? And that is an actual SkillCrush student. So I would love to have you guys in the chat tell us, are you a panda, a lion, or a unicorn? And I'm going to take a look at the chat and see. All right. I see one lion. Fantastic. Pip is a unicorn. We got Sweden. Oh, we got a lion and a unicorn. I love it. We got a panda. Oh my gosh. Amazing. Okay, it looks like there's a lot of SkillCrush students, so that's phenomenal. Hello, everyone. Also, if you want to make an argument for being another animal, I'm totally open to that. Cool, we got a lion and a unicorn, a panda. Cool. So I love these lions. Yes, lion, unicorns, it makes sense. Victoria just started to get hired. That's awesome. Okay. A paused unicorn. Okay, well, that's all right to be a positive unicorn. Okay, very cool. Shocky is a snail. I love it. Snails, it's like the slow unicorn here. That's okay. Ooh, I see like dragon. Luca looks like he's a dragon. Okay, amazing. Wonderful. Okay. Okay, fantastic. So it seems like we have a really, really good, healthy mix, and that's wonderful. So I think, like the lions and the unicorns can talk to the pandas, and we can all sort of figure this out together. Beautiful. Okay. So the next question I have for you is, where are you on the confidence meter? And sorry, I should have put here that we're talking about the confidence that you will be able to achieve your desired goal. So I'm going to make the assumption that your desired goal is some sort of career change, whether it is like full-time job, better job where you're at, more money, like what have you. And listen, I would love for you to share with me what you're thinking. But my question for you fundamentally is sort of, where are you on that confidence range? Like, do you feel, are you like not at all confident that it's possible for you to achieve the goal? Or are you 100% sure that it's going to, you're totally confident and you're on the path? Kind of where are you in that range? All right. So again, we're seeing like a lot of different places, which is beautiful and lovely and like exactly what one would expect. So we got some 2s, we got some 5 6s, we got some 8s, we got some 9 pluses. I'd love to see that. We got a 3, we got a 0. Okay, well, it wasn't in the range, but it's fair. I can understand the message that comes with that 0. I'm gonna cough. Please excuse me. Except for now, I can't find the. Here we go. Yeah, and just for anyone who's on the lower end of that scale, I just want to say that, all feelings are welcome here. This is a safe space, and there's nothing wrong with being, it's like the most important thing is for us all to be honest and, authentic about where we're at in this moment in time. Adam says 9 overall, but 5 on the desired timeline. That's fair, right? So he is feeling like it's high likelihood to work out, but maybe not on the timeline that he wanted. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I also just want to commend you all for doing a phenomenal job participating. So thank you for that. You are making all of my participatory webinar dreams come true. Okay. So, okay, yes. So basically now I would like to talk a little bit more about this issue of confidence because, we are fundamentally in the business of training students to get jobs in tech. And we have 10 years of data to say that it's totally possible. We do it like every day of the week and twice on Sundays. And, this is sort of what we have dedicated our lives to. And we see everyday proof that it's a realistic goal. But we also see that many of our students lack don't have confidence that it's possible. Like they don't have the confidence that we have basically in them. This is something that we realize is like a legitimate barrier to students being able to advance their job or their careers, because the truth of the matter is that, and this goes across like all people of all time. Hold on, this is like a universal truth, and now I have to cough. Nobody is going to pursue something that is challenging to pursue if they lack confidence. Meaning, like, and let's just give an example of like, let's say that I wanted to take a rocket ship to Mars. If I didn't believe that it was possible for me to get to Mars with at least some level of confidence, like why would I spend the hundreds of millions of dollars and like the hours and, days or weeks and months and years of my time in order to pursue that, right? Like that's just rational. You're not going to do something, you're not going to do a lot of work if you have very low confidence that's going to yield anything. So, so it's something we think about a lot and something that I take really seriously. So, so first of all, just to get this out of the way, David Bowie says you should be confident. Thank you for indulging me in that slide. But I think what I actually want to talk about is sort of the thing that really undergirds this like feeling of confidence, right? And in my observation, what I see is that it tends to be that students have an idea, that is based on a myriad of different factors of what would make them an ideal candidate to make a career transition. And they don't believe that they can that they live up to those ideals or that they can live up to those ideals. And so with that in mind, now we get to the really, really, really fun parts. I know I love that movie too. I just love everything with David Bowie. Now we get to that really fun part of this participatory webinar, which is that I'm going to drop a link to a Google Doc, and it's going to be a brainstorming doc. And I might have to make it way bigger. I'm like, you guys are really, really active and participatory, and I love you for that. So I'm going to make this a lot bigger. I'm going to also shift this to here. So what I would like to ask you all to do is to help me brainstorm what in your mind makes an ideal tech candidate, like a tech job candidate. Like, what is it that people are hiring for? And like, yeah. So what would make someone ideal? I'm going to drop this in here. Why isn't it letting me do it? Hold on one second. Yes, and Juliana, I'm hoping that you actually put it in the doc. So these are perfect answers, everybody. And of course, now my computer is like totally having a meltdown. Here we go. All right, there's the link. All right, so all those awesome ideas that you're putting in there, can you put it in the doc? Yes. Oh my gosh, look at all the people. I love it. So yes, skills, good people skills, super smart, desire to learn. Yeah, and don't censor yourself. Just anything that comes to mind. What would make someone ideal? I was talking on mute and I was saying how I love this so much. And I really am grateful to all of you for participating in. Going to make our thing even. Also, it's so funny because everyone is coming through as a walrus and a badger and all these funny animals. Am I still muted? Can you not hear me? Okay, good. Okay, good. I know, I keep making the whiteboard bigger. Okay, so I'm going to start reading stuff as we go. We have a lot. We have 2 more of these to do, believe it or not. So okay, awesome. Okay, so I see myriad of skills, adaptable, skilled experience, desire to continuously learn, mindset, someone willing to learn more, experience, problem solving skills, quick learner, curiosity, good portfolio, resilience, consistent, dependable, good communicator, self-motivated, lots of soft skills, willingness to learn and ability to work well with others, driven, collaborative, adaptable, problem solving skills, strong communicator, lifelong learner, persistent, willing to learn, youth. I think that's interesting. Able to work on a team, data organization skills, consistent, dependable, motivation, ability to work on a deadline. Mom and dad have money. I love this. Yeah. Yeah. Don't censor yourself. Totally. Like anything goes here. Keep an open mind, open to learning new skills. I love this. Yeah. Open mind, believe in yourself. Keeping up to date with tech. I think that's a good one. Yeah, I'm curious as you all are reading this, how these are making you feel. Like, Dorothy says, I have some of these. Kat says, they make me feel so excited about this opportunity. John, afraid and anxious. Laura, excited. Juliana, we all had similar thoughts. Yeah. I'm curious, in particular for those of you who are feeling less confident, like, Jennifer just said my confidence level has gone up several points. Rob says, I know you guys you're such good students that I mean, this is welcome to my experience with Skillcare students all the time, which is that you're all freaking amazing. Rose says, did mine go through success at everything, all previous jobs before? Yes. Okay. Success at everything, all previous jobs. That seems, I'm glad that you put that. Esther says, I'm afraid I'm not patient enough. Other qualities I feel confident about. Jasmine says, I'm nervous, but I could still be successful in finding a job. Natalie says, same here, Jennifer. Okay. A hard skill get you hired. Soft skills get you promoted. Okay. Interesting. Anita says, but this is a safe place and sometimes not so much outside. I think okay, great. Okay, do you guys feel ready to go on to the next exercise? Maggie says, unsure. Seems like I'm shut down by the hiring algorithm before I even get a chance. Anna says, keeping up to date is tough. I feel very old when someone much younger corrects my work. Johanna says, how am I going to prove it? Okay, cool. All right, perfect. Okay, so it's funny. I actually feel like, let me think about this for a second, because you guys answered this a little bit differently than I had anticipated, which I love. You guys are keeping me on my toes. So yeah, I think maybe what I will ask instead is, for you, and the question I had originally wanted to ask was, what makes you different than the ideal job candidate? But maybe what we can do is rephrase that question a little bit to be like, what are things that you feel like you need to gain, or like to learn in order to become the ideal job candidate? So like, where sort of your opportunity? So what do you need to learn / gain in order to become an ideal job candidate, per this like brainstorm that you guys just all did, which I thought was phenomenal. I'm going to share it. So I will now share this with you all. Okay. Yeah. So like, because I think like, I'm really happy that what you guys saw in making that tech job ideal candidate board, realizing actually like, wow, I have a lot of these, right? Like, you guys are flexible, you are all open to learning, or you know what I mean? Like, you have so much that you already have going for you. So now the question is sort of like, where are the areas that you feel like you want to work on? Okay. Okay, so I see some hard skills. I see a fair amount of networking skills. Also, I love this person, or maybe it's many of you who are doing like lots of different types of shapes. It's really making me very happy. Different colors, go for it. Go wild, guys. I just think this is amazing. Interview coaching, knowledge on the subject, interviewing. Yep, gain lots of technical knowledge. I have the soft skills, how to deal with difficult people, hard technical interview experience, hard skills, technical interview experience, improved, updated tech skills, networking, portfolio of work, getting it seen, getting it resume seen. Mentally getting over the fear of not learning quick enough. How can I use my art background but not do design? I think I love that question. It's a great question. How to highlight the most important skills on my resume. Getting more experience with projects, consistency, humility, open-mindedness, software. Christine, I will add your experience one myself. Oop, Anonymous Hina and I are be funny. Just use the best shape for being funny. I love this. You are funny. I just want to tell the person who wrote that you are in fact funny. I am laughing. JavaScript, WordPress. Not being afraid to challenge myself even more. Natalie says I need to learn more about how to beat procrastination. LVI, I'm not sure how to say that. Maybe it's Liv. Where should we find the video after the live ends? It'll be right here. So it's here. You can basically like, as soon as this is over, it'll like make it possible for you to hit play. Mignon, knowing when I've learned enough to actually start job searching. That's a really, really good one. Attention to detail, creating a portfolio, getting the relevant job experience to get a job. Luca's being funny. Okay, well, Luca, you've got that going for you. I personally like to work with funny people. So I think, being funny for me would be a high value for an ideal job candidate. Liz says, learn new softwares, add them to your CV as an extra skill. Cami says, put themselves out there. Skill Crush makes me different. Lee, how to write a cover letter and a polished resume without any previous tech job experience. Musical Enthusiast says, I don't really know how I am different, but I am resilient. Okay. Awesome. Okay, friends, if you will indulge me, I would like to move to the third exercise. And I just want to also remind you that unless you disclose who you are, like Luca did, this is totally anonymous, so we won't know who it is. But I want you to take a moment and I want you to answer the question of, what do you have right now that is similar or even maybe better than this ideal tech job candidate? So I think when I had originally positioned this exercise, I was maybe expecting for you guys to say like an ideal tech job candidate has like a computer science degree and is fresh out of college and is young and like whatever. And so I was thinking, okay, you probably don't fit that profile. So what do you have going for you that maybe somebody in that position might not? Or just in general, what do you have going for you? So this is your opportunity to brag on yourself a little bit. And again, it's totally anonymous. So you like feel free to write whatever you feel like, you know what I mean? Like we won't know who wrote it. But we'll get to be inspired by it and hopefully it'll make us all go, hey, I have that awesome trait too. Let me think about that. I can add that to my list. 20 plus years of owning their own business. Yeah, heck yeah. Psychology degree, very valuable. law degree. Okay. A variety, that means you guys are an incredibly um, qualified bunch of people. I have work experience in a professional environment, life experience and fast learner, 2 psychology degrees, a variety of skills from many different fields to be an awesome visionary. Mignon, you are like anticipating everything I'm going to be saying for the rest of this webinar. So I love that. Please, yeah, just wait. So Laura says 10 plus years of data entry experience. Okay, this is by far, I'm going to make this board way bigger. You guys need more room. 15 years in international higher education. All right, hello. Kat, you've got me beat. I've only got 10 years in international. Actually, I don't know if the SkillCrush qualifies higher education, maybe not. More like adult education. Violin teacher. That's so cool. 10 years as an art curator. Working under pressure, I bet. 12 years of design experience, linguistics degree, passionate about learning new stuff, curiosity, journalist used to meeting deadlines. I'm so happy, Dorothy. 60 years of life skills, many different professions. Yes. And this is so legitimate, Basil. That stuff is so valuable. Love my work, design skills, willingness to learn. I have an MA in teaching ESL and a lot of experience in cross-cultural communication. Work in sports medicine with teens, so I understand today's youth and have the compassion you need in healthcare. Tons of experience working in crappy customer service roles, right? But that stuff is really important. Translator that speaks 4 languages, adaptable and open to change. Survived hardships in personal life, resilient. This is really beautiful. I don't have the confidence or the knowledge to fill this out. Okay, whoever wrote that with the green, I just wanted to say to you though that you have really good sense of like color and a choice of icons. So I see potential for sure. I had an inkling. Luca, you should also write that you're funny. Bethany has a good idea, which is we should ask the confidence question again. So I totally, let's do it. I would like to believe that I am flexible and willing to go with, how things are going. And so I love that suggestion. So let's give it a try. Laura, I agree with you. Laura is saying, I feel so honored to be with such amazing people. And I have to say the same thing. I mean, it doesn't surprise me because this is my experience always with SkillCrush students, but it's just beautiful nonetheless. So I think to Bethany's point, I would love for you all to answer the question. So we had this question that I posted earlier, like about 10 minutes ago, where we were talking about, are you, confidence from 1 to 10. And I think a question I have for you is, where are you at now and has it changed? Katie says about the same. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Hopefully nobody went down. Yes. And, ultimately, even if your confidence did not go up, hopefully, at very least, you have a sense. I hope that you have gained a sense of community and understanding that you are not alone in this, right? And that we're all here. Yeah. As a part of a community. Okay. So now what I wanted to share with you is I wanted to share with you some learnings that I have gleaned that have really, it's like that confirmation bias or whatever, where I'm like, oh, reading this book, it really just, it gave sort of, data and history and more information to back up this thing, which I also know that I see in your answers that you also believe, which is this idea that having a wide variety of skills is incredibly valuable in today's world. So there's a book called Range, Why Generalists Triumph in a Specialized World. It was by an author named David Epstein. And what is sort of funny about this book in part is that he was in part inspired by Malcolm Gladwell. And Malcolm Gladwell, if you guys are familiar, and this actually came out when I was in college, I remember it very distinctly. He came out with his book about this idea of 10,000 hours, that you need 10,000 hours to become an expert in something. And David Epstein really took umbrage with this concept of 10,000 hours and this sort of focus on this idea of expertise being the best way to success. And he really felt that there was an argument to be made that people who are generalists actually, in a lot of ways, are better positioned for success than people who are super specialized in a certain area. And that's basically what he went out to research. And what he describes in this book, Range, is he sort of talks about, he looks at instances like his classic example is Tiger Woods versus Roger Federer. And Tiger Woods is 100% that 10,000 hours person, right? He was, it was unbelievable, actually, as somebody who has 2 children. The description was about how Tiger Woods was like, he was hitting the golf ball when he was 2 years old and all this crazy stuff. Versus Roger Federer, who actually played like a million different sports. Yes, and Kat, to be fair, it's not like he thinks that there's no room for Malcolm Gladwell's like perspective and that there's a place for people to be really specialized. He just thinks that isn't the only way. That was basically his argument. But anyway, so Roger Federer is a totally different example of how he became to dominate his field, which was tennis, which is that he actually played like a whole bunch of different sports and didn't really start to focus on tennis until relatively late. And apparently there's a lot of data to back this up around. They did analysis of soccer players in European leagues and found that most of them did not exclusively play soccer until quite late in their life. And so this idea that we have that the best, soccer players, the best golf players, the best tennis players come from people who have just been drilling on that one sport their entire life is actually not accurate. And it's actually much more likely that the people who really come to dominate their fields, the way that the path that they take is actually through a lot of different sports. And so what Epstein ends up really explaining in this book is that there are 2 kinds of worlds, right? And really what he's talking about here is there's 2 sort of different scenarios that we can all find ourselves in. And there's kind scenarios or kind worlds. And those are environments where there's, it's a certain environment, there's specific challenges, rigid rules, things are unchanging, they're predictable, and things like that. And an example of this would be like chess players. In those worlds, there are, and these are also times where learning from experience works and is really effective. So pattern recognition, all that stuff. In those situations, it's good to be a specialist. It's good to have 20 years of experience in a field, right? But then there's this other scenario that also exists, which is the wicked world. And that is situations that are uncertain. There's ill-defined challenges. There aren't a lot of rules. Things are rapidly changing. This is where having 20 years of experience in something actually doesn't always serve you that well. In fact, it can be a detriment because you can be stuck in how things used to be and not be able to be as flexible in things. And so the question I have for you all is, when you look at these kind world and wicked world descriptions, which one do you think more closely aligns to what the tech world is like? And it's not a rhetorical question, although it probably sounds like one. Katie says wicked. I would tend to agree. It is a wicked, wicked world that we live in. It is. Okay, so Jordan, I'm interested. You say kind. That's funny because to me, it's so wicked, right? Like, it's totally uncertain. It's totally ill-defined. There are no rules. It is rapidly changing. I mean, like, right? And so the thing is that I will say, actually, you all are remarkably, like, I don't know what the word is, like, you are remarkably like mature and thoughtful in your perspective. Okay, actually, Ranjani, you make a really good point. So computers are kind. So I would argue it's not that computers are kind, it's that computers do well in a kind world. Right? And this is actually one of the main arguments he makes in the book, which is that most things that do well in a kind world are things that can be automated by a computer. And that's why it's so important for humans. And humans have this unique ability to manage being in a wicked world. And in particular, one of the ways that he describes this is that humans have the unique ability to learn not from experience. And that's where that's why we do so well in wicked worlds. And this is why we have to so value, and not like, it's so common for us to think like, oh, someone has had 10 different jobs, like they don't know what they're doing, when actually having 10 different jobs gives you experience and insight into a whole bunch of different wicked worlds, and then allows you it gives you that superpower of being able to think really creatively across different disciplines, and deploy something from one discipline to another, which is really, really valuable. So there's one last quote that I loved, which is, he says, facing uncertain environments and wicked problems, breadth of experience is invaluable. So breadth of experience, not depth of experience, right? So this is where you having 20 years of experience in something that's not technology is actually really phenomenal. And then facing kind problems, narrow specialization can be remarkably efficient. So the problem is that we often expect the hyper specialist, because of their expertise in a narrow area, to magically be able to extend their skill to wicked problems. And the results can be disastrous. I'm sorry, I'm coughing. Our greatest strength is the exact opposite of narrow specialization. It is the ability to integrate broadly. And this is what I see with all of you, right? Like this is what I see as like the opportunity for Skill Crush students, is that you all, by nature of the fact that you have years of lived experience, that you have, experience in different industries, in different situations, this is what you uniquely, and like, this is your great strength. And this is the thing that you have that no person coming out of college can have. They can have it 20 years from now, but that's not when they're getting hired, right? Okay. So, yes, learning from experience is called machine learning. Exactly. Okay, cool. So, and then I just also love this because this really speaks to my heart. And I think, is something that I see a lot with students, which is just, he writes, first act and then think. We discover the possibilities by doing, by trying new activities, by building new networks, finding new role models. We learn who we are in practice, not in theory. And I think this just speaks to the idea of, and listen, like, we all fall victim to this. Me most of all. We all like to get into the trap of analysis paralysis and like thinking that we can think our way to the next job or the next career solution or, the next whatever. And it's just a good reminder that, we really do have to try things out. And although it doesn't sound like nobody wants to plot a path forward that involves going the wrong direction before you go the right direction. But accepting that is an inherent part of finding the right direction is first going in the wrong direction. And that the only way you can go in the wrong, therefore the best way to get to the right direction is actually to risk going in the wrong direction first. Okay. Does anyone have, before I talk about tech job trends for 2023, I would love to just invite you to share any last thoughts, words, things that are coming up for you based on everything that we just completed. Katie's asking, does coding ever become second nature, even though it evolves? Sabrina's saying, without risk, there's no reward. Megan, more like career paralysis, trying to figure out the right role. Musical enthusiast, I'll need to check out the book. It sounds really cool. Rose, well, I have a huge breadth of experience, but I'm not good at everything I've done. Mignon says, this is so awesome and helpful in my new way of thinking this through. Good. That's awesome. Okay. So I'm going to transition now. Of course, now we have not a lot of time left, but I do want to make good on my promise to talk to you all about the tech job trends for 2023. Kemi says, how do you approach the thought that there is a lack of work-life balance in the tech field? Yeah, I think these are good and complicated questions. But okay, so let's talk about tech job trends. So if you were basing your sense of how the tech industry and economy is doing based on sort of like, different reports that are coming at you through news sources, then I would share your belief that things are not going good. There's been layoffs and, there's a lot of people who are worrying about recession and there's that kind of stuff. So it would be completely reasonable for you to have that concern. However, fortunately, I'm happy to tell you that really isn't what the data says. So CompTIA is one of the major sources of job market data. Them and BLS. And just last week, CompTIA reported that tech companies actually net added new jobs in December, which was the 25th consecutive month of net job growth, which honestly surprised me based on what I was perceiving, but is awesome to know. And then despite all of the reported tech layoffs, the unemployment rate actually dropped. So the unemployment rate among tech workers went from a little over 2% to 1.8%, despite all the layoffs. So that is very interesting. And then the other thing to keep in mind is just that all longitudinal predictions, so from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and from CompTIA and more, project significant job growth in tech through 2031. And I think it's something like 25%, with net new jobs in the like tens of thousands every year. Yeah. And so I think the thing just to remember, even if there is like a slowdown, that, these periods, it's the market and all these things is volatile, but ultimately the trend is absolutely upwards and it has been upwards for, a couple of decades now and will continue to be so. And then something that I thought was really interesting is that there's some analysis, and I can actually share this link so that you guys can read it yourself, which is that there are some analysts who believe that the slowdown in hiring or any sort of slowdown that has happened is actually due to a lack of talent, not too much talent, not too much, not a decrease in demand. I wrote that incorrectly. So basically what they're saying is that what happened last year is that, as you know, the job market like lost its mind, and it was the hottest job market in decades. And what happened is that it was a hot job market in part because there was so like relatively the demand for workers so outpaced the supply of workers, and it did that to the point where it increased wages significantly, which was great for workers who were applying last year. But what happened was that it actually priced a lot of companies out of the job market. So basically, there was tons of companies that wanted to hire people, but the dynamics at play pushed salaries up so high that they no longer were able to hire people, and therefore they just didn't hire people and stopped hiring, and because there actually was not enough talent to fill all the open roles, and so that sort of created dynamics where people stopped hiring, and so these experts are arguing that actually the tech layoffs are really, really good for the economy, because what they're doing is they're putting more talent back into the talent pool, which will enable a more diverse group of companies to sorry, I'm distracted by Erica Leslie's story, which is a total bummer. The scam stuff is crazy. It's allowing them to hire again. Okay. Great. Okay. So now I want to talk about the best tech jobs for career changers. So the best tech jobs for career changers are front-end developer and designer. And the reason for this is that there's a lot of these job opportunities, and they have a relatively low barrier to entry, and they're great starting points to then jump off into more advanced and specialized roles. And I say this with many, many, many years of experience in training people for these jobs and helping them get jobs in the industry in these two categories. So, and if you're familiar with our Break Into Tech program, you know that this is how we have designed our programs. So when you enroll in Break Into Tech, you have the opportunity to train both as a front-end developer or a designer. I mean, most people don't do both, but that is available to you. So, this is based on our experience, and it is also in turn how we have designed our program. So if your goals are flexible and remote work, high or higher pay, and more fulfilling work, then we really encourage you to look at these two roles. In terms of the skills that you'll need to learn for each one of these, and again, if you haven't had a chance, definitely take a look at the syllabus for our classes, which sort of lists this out in more detail. But as a front-end developer, and also there was a question I saw earlier, which was about how do I know that I've learned enough? And I this is a very challenging question, and fundamentally, it's a very hard one, I think, for an individual to answer. But there is an answer, and this is how we have designed our program. So we have designed our program so that we will teach you exactly what you need to know in order to be qualified, so that you can feel confident in that. But what we teach is HTML and CSS. We teach Git and GitHub, responsive web development, JavaScript, and then a JavaScript framework, and we teach React. And then for the designers, we teach the fundamentals of design. Makes sense. Color, typography, iconography, layout, fundamentals of web design. So that's a lot of the same stuff, but in the context of the web, and then also looking at interaction design. We work on branding and icon design. So teaching you how to actually really design a logo, design icons, and all of that, put together a brand guide. And then we do actually teach you HTML and CSS so that you can do some light coding, and then also responsive web design. So that's design that will work across a variety of platforms. Okay, so the sort of last thing I want to talk about is a reality check a little bit of what it takes to learn these skills. And I think depending on who you are and your perspective, this can either look like a lot or a little. And I would actually love to hear from from both SkillCrush students and non-SkillCrush students, like what your reaction to this is. But what we see with our students is that it tends to take at least 4 to 6 months of dedicated skill building to really gain the skills that they need in order to be employable. And obviously some people take longer and some people do this faster. It does depend entirely on your ability to focus on your learning. But I think what we see is 4 to 6 months is like a very realistic time frame. You will need to build 6 to 10 portfolio worthy projects. So these are projects that are either school assignments or they are things that you come up, freelance projects or just personal projects that you take on that are, sort of that meet a certain standard of professionality and that you are going to be able to then use to demonstrate to employers your ability to actually like put the skills that you've learned into practice. This is also the area where like you can really start to let your past experience shine, because this is where you can come up with cool and interesting projects that maybe speak to a specific need that exists in the world that you sort of are uniquely positioned to act on and be aware of. So I think like this is really where you have the opportunity to really showcase who you are, what experience you have, everything that you have to offer. And then you will need to build, you'll need to put all those projects and package them together in a professional quality portfolio. So I'm curious, for those of you who are reading this, like, does this feel like a lot, a little? What are your thoughts? Rochelle is saying, I was amazed that it would only take 4 to 6 months. I truly love the layout of the courses and the inspirational emails I received that have helped when I've doubted my choice. Laura says, I'm over 75% through the Fed BIT course and things are really starting to come together as far as understanding now. The setup for the program is awesome. Thank you. You guys are so nice. Gregory is saying even more. I know. I need a cough drop. I apologize. It's funny. I've had a cough that like I haven't been, talking this much. So, Juliana is saying the surprise by 6 to 10 projects. Yeah. I thought 3 was good for a portfolio. Pip says I have a hard time self-motivating through portfolio work. Carol says, I don't know because I already have some of the skills, but low confidence relative to them. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you guys are sharing this with us. Anita says, I thought that I'd be able to stick to that time frame, but life happened. Keep going, and I will not give up. Slow and steady wins the race. Yes. Deha says, I just completed my portfolio and sending for approval. That's awesome. Congrats. Johanna says, 4 to 6 months seems like a long time to wait for a new job. Yeah, and then you listen, like everyone is in a different 4 to 6 months is for the skill building portion, and then you have to apply for jobs. So knowing that it's a 10-week average, that would be another 2.5 to 3 months, if not longer. So I think it's really important that, like, again, this is not get a job as fast as possible program, right? We are get a good job in a reasonable time frame, right? So, obviously, like we are designing the program to be as fast as possible, but as fast as possible is not, next month. So it's important that anyone be realistic about that. Christy says, I took a 1-year break because of life, but I totally finished my classes in 4 months. Esther is saying I'm learning almost full time and they're going to finish both in 3 months. Well, yes, listen, I'm not saying you can't do it faster. I'm just saying that we would like to be realistic. Okay, cool. The last thing I wanted to talk about, and I know that we're basically at time, so I'm going to try to go really quickly, but I want to talk a little bit about job hunting strategies, because this is a really, really important topic, and especially for any of you who are in the Learn the Skills portion of SkillCrush and are about to transition to get hired. So here's what it takes to land a job. It takes updating your resume in LinkedIn. It takes practicing your interview skills, including doing a mock interview. It takes practicing your technical test skills. And sorry, I should say, like, the mock interview portion, that is something that we do at SkillCrush. I would encourage you, if you're not working with SkillCrush, to still find a way to do a mock interview. but nonetheless, fundamentally, you need to practice your interview skills. It takes networking and prospecting, lots of it. And then it takes the stamina to keep up with 2 to 6 months of job searching, which, is not trivial. So I'm curious how any of this lands. And then actually, I want to end this webinar with getting you all a win, which is that one of the most important things that we see for students is networking, if not the most important thing. And so to that end, the best thing that you can do is start to build up your LinkedIn connections. And I would like to encourage you all to do that with each other, because this is a beautiful and amazing community, as you have all demonstrated. So before you leave this chat, what I want you all to do is put your LinkedIn. Obviously, this is not required, only for those of you who want to make connections on LinkedIn and who feel comfortable. But no matter what your LinkedIn says, like, we don't care. We all understand that we're all in a moment of transition. Copy paste that LinkedIn into this chat, and then I want you all to connect with one another on LinkedIn. And not only will you make a bunch of wonderful friends that you can keep in touch with, but you are also going to boost your LinkedIn profile. And the reality is that LinkedIn, for better or worse, is, a crazy algorithm social network. And it looks at signals, including, you have activity, like, do you have friends? Who is your network? What types of people are they? What, are they in tech or whatever? And it's the more you, the more momentum you have going there, the more that LinkedIn is going to start surfacing you to all the other people, to recruiters, basically. Fundamentally, what you're hoping to achieve, and we're playing the long game here, not the short game. What you're hoping to achieve is you're going to make yourself be a known entity on LinkedIn, and you're going to build up that profile over time such that LinkedIn starts to really work for you. I see you all doing it. I love it. If you don't have LinkedIn, that's totally okay, obviously. And you can always come back to this chat, and once you have a LinkedIn, and go and connect with all these people. So thank you, everybody, so much for participating, and just joining in with me on this very participatory webinar. You guys did an amazing job. You totally exceeded my expectations in every way, which is like ridiculous. I should have known, because you all are amazing. If you have any follow-up questions, you can always hit us up on by email at hello@skillcrush.com. If you are not a SkillCrush student yet, I invite you to become and be a part of our community. We would love to work with you. I will have some tea and rest my voice after this webinar. And I will also thank my voice for carrying me through this webinar, despite it being a little under the weather. I just, to everyone's collective career success in whatever manner that you define that in 2023. And I wish you all the best. And I just look forward to being in community with you. So thank you so much. Bye, everybody.